Well, hello, kids. Guess what? It's Santa Claus here. And I'm up here in the North Pole getting ready for that big trip. You know, Christmas Eve, I got to load up all the sleigh with all the toys and everything and get the reindeer ready. And we're going to take off Christmas Eve. So, when it's Christmas Eve, you guys need to remember, you got to get to bed. You can't stay up all night. It wouldn't be a good idea because Santa's going to show up. And he doesn't like it if there's anybody home. If you're awake, he'll have to go around and deliver other gifts first and then come back to you later. So go to bed and don't forget Santa likes cookies. Here's a good story we'll read for you. How does this sound? This story is called The Mitten. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, you'll never find it, she said. But Nicky wanted snow-white mittens, and finally Baba made some for him. Well, after she finished, she said, "Will you come here first? I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look and see if you still have your snow-white mittens." So off Nicky went. And it wasn't long before one of the new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. Well, pretty soon, there was a snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. But he stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten. And he wiggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved right over. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled around, but not being ones to argue with somebody covered with prickles, they made room. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's gleaming talons, they quickly let him in. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl, they were not pleased. There was no room left. But when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose into the air, and a fox trotted by and noticed and stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they decided, well, we'll make room for him. A giant bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be, but what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged to many times its size, but Bubba's knitting had held fast. Along came a meadow mouse. She wiggled into the open space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Achoo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch the snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. Okay, kids. Well, that's the story for today. Let's see what else we got in the way of a book to read. All right. Goodbye.